Okay. Hi, Britt here, and today I'm going to introduce you to another young couple that I met at the RV Entrepreneur Summit, and their names are Dan and Lindsay McKenzie, and they're going to talk a little bit about how RVing and life on the road has enhanced their relationship. Stay tuned.
So we both grew up in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and our families were really close and good friends, but we didn't actually meet until college. So we both went to Colorado State University in Fort Collins, and we kept crossing paths. My roommate had a class with him, his roommate worked with me, and I felt like I kept hearing the name Dan McKenzie over and over and over again. So finally we hung out. I didn't think he was my type. I thought, we'll just be good friends and our families are friends. But the more we hung out, the more I realized what a perfect fit he was for me, even though he wasn't my type. My type was actually really bad. So it was good that he didn't fit that. And we kind of felt like immediately we were married almost. It was just, I think a month after we were dating, I told his roommate we're going to get married. I just know it. And it was instant. It was never hard work for our relationship to grow, and it just made sense. So we've been together 10 years this month, and we've been married for 8, coming up in June.
Coming up on 8.
Yeah.
And how we became RVers, so one of the things that was really important to me when we first met, I loved to travel. I studied abroad. I knew that travel was going to be a part of my life, and Lindsay was more of the, homebodies. She just hadn't had the same experiences. She hadn't known that traveling was something that was really important to her yet. And so when we first started dating, it was just a big deal, and we would have these hypothetical conversations like, hey, I just need to know that you would be okay with traveling if that were something to come up. And so we weren't really sure, but right after we got married, she came home one day and said, hey, let's move to Costa Rica. How would you feel about that? And I was like, all right, let's do it. And it was just a point in our lives where we didn't have a lot of, we weren't really deep in our careers. I was selling insurance and I didn't care about that, and she was just waiting to become a teacher, and they were going to have her sub. And so we just made the transition, jumped to Costa Rica, and we've kind of been traveling ever since. Mm-hmm. And the way that we got into an RV was, we did this international traveling, we did all this traveling, and we got to the point in our life where we felt like we needed to settle down. That was the next step. So we bought this house out in the suburbs, and we started preparing for a family. And then we started trying, and a couple years go by, and some fertility treatments, and a lot of emotional letdown. We basically found out that we're not going to be able to have children together. And that kind of just rocked our world. Mm-hmm. And we just really didn't know how to move forward at that point. So we kind of just knew we needed to change something. Mm-hmm. We didn't know what that really was. So let's just get out of here. We can't live in the suburb with all these families and kids, and let's just get out of here. So we packed up our lives and we moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, sort of on a whim, I guess. We'd never even been there. And then, and then I'll let Lindsay finish telling the story, but over the 9 or 10 months that we lived there, we kept going on these road trips all the time because we'd really never been to that part of the country. And, you can finish the story, but...
Yeah, so we were taking road trip after road trip after road trip, and it was on these road trips that we just realized how much happier we were individually and as a couple, and how we just felt alive. We just felt like we were living our lives, and we were taking the break from work, and we were adventuring and doing what we love to do. And there was one particular road trip that I looked at him, and we were on our way back to town, and I said, I don't want this to end. I just wish we could stay as long as we wanted. And that's when RVing, kind of popped in our heads, but we felt like it was a retirement thing. We didn't know if young people actually did it, but at the time he was working remote. So we knew it could actually be a possibility. And it made sense because we've got 2 dogs. We could bring them along. So we kind of talked about it for the next couple weeks, and then I was really unhappy with my job. So we decided to go for it, and I quit my job, and we just did whatever it took to get in the RV and get on the road, and we haven't looked back since.
I know that RV life impacts relationship. Can you tell me a little bit how it's impacted yours?
Absolutely. So going back to our life in the suburbs, our days typically looked like going to work, not seeing each other in the morning. I left before him, so he'd still be sleeping. And then we would come home, we'd walk the dogs, we'd exercise, we'd cook dinner, we'd clean dinner, we'd prep our lunches for the next day, and then we'd have maybe an hour of quality time together. And we were both so drained that usually it was just laying on the couch watching TV and passing the time. And now we are together all the time, and we are on road trips where we have silence and we can talk for 3 hours. And we've had challenges that we've had to overcome as a team, and our communication has grown because of that. Neither one of us knew anything about RVing. We had to learn everything together, and so it was really cool to see us take on different roles and choose different jobs that we would, we really work together as a team and encourage each other. It's been really fun to see each other grow and, encourage each other, because he was really intimidated at first. He didn't know, he wasn't very mechanical. He didn't know anything about RVs, and I've just seen him learn all these new skills and gain this confidence. And that's been so fun for me to witness. I don't know if you want to add to that.
I mean, pretty much the same things. I mean, it's been a really interesting thing to watch how it's changed our relationship. And her and I have always spent a lot of time together. But like she said, we weren't getting the quality time that maybe we wanted, or we didn't even know that we weren't getting that quality time. We just sort of thought that was life. And having this experience and being in the same small box all the time, but just figuring out things as a team. And we always talk about how, from a relationship standpoint, RVing has forced us into a common journey, like a common vision for not only just for our relationship, but also like very literally, like, on travel days, it's like we have a mission, we have to do this and that, and we're going to go to this destination. And so we feel really aligned. And I think that's made a big difference in our relationship, because she used to have so much of her mental energy, and myself as well, just invested in another place. She was, as a teacher, she had kids and parents and faculty, and so much of her energy was not in this relationship. And so getting together and sharing that common, like, now we work together, now we obviously travel together, and so it's been really powerful just to see how we grew even closer.
And how our skills complement each other in terms of running our website together, and how certain skills that we've developed, but we've grown side by side, I feel like. And a lot of times, I think in our previous lifestyle, our skills were totally opposite from each other, and like he's saying, our goals and our, and it's silly, but we just decided to run a half marathon, and that's a perfect example of us just continually finding things that we can accomplish together. And we never used to look at it that way.
Great. So we know that RV life can be challenging. So what do you do in your relationship when you are in those tense moments and you're not in your best groove about how to be together? And do you have strategies? Oh, thank you.
So absolutely, we get in those moments and we bicker and we say mean things because we're just stressed and we want to point the finger at each other and find blame immediately. And that's normal. And so we don't take it personally. First of all, we know it's just the stress of a situation, and we're gonna say mean things and we'll apologize later. But there's always a point somewhere in the thick of an issue that we can calm each other down. Usually one of us is a little more relaxed than the other, and we try to just meet in the middle and find some calmness, and then just tackle it together as a team, like I said, and just pick a strategy, go for it, cheer each other up. Usually we end up laughing about it later. Maybe sometimes it takes weeks. Sometimes we don't talk about it right away, but
And I think we also, the RV is really convenient for like two things. One, sometimes you can't go anywhere. There's nowhere to go. There's no downstairs or, you know, a man cave to retreat to and slam the door. So you kind of look at each other and you can sit there and be angry and stew over something, and then you realize, okay, that's kind of silly. Like being in the same vicinity kind of forces you to figure it out and just talk through it right then and there. And so that's kind of nice. Or sometimes, depending on where you're at, like you have something out your door that you can take a break from. You know, it's really easy to say, you know what, I'm just going to go outside and I'm going to sit on that picnic table that's at the campground, or I'm going to go on that little hike and give myself a few minutes before I come back to this conversation. And so it's really kind of convenient in that sense that RV life can kind of let you figure out how you solve problems best. And for us, we don't normally do the like I'm going off and figuring it out on my own. Like normally we just kind of eventually realize that we're both being silly about something. So
What I'm hearing, that I hear a lot from couples, is that you have found a safety place together where you can not be perfect, and you can you know, screw up and be nasty to each other, but it isn't frightening. It's like, oh, we just got to get through this bump.
Yeah.
And it's gotten easier too. I mean, the first couple of months, I mean, everything was going wrong. You know, we didn't know what we were doing at all. Every single day was this.
Something new would break.
Yeah, something new would break, or you're just trying to figure things out. And those situations were very stressful.
Yeah.
And, you know, now looking back, like she said, we laugh about it, and it's made us closer somehow. But at the time, it was stressful. But, you know, I think it comes back to that common vision. We knew we wanted to do this, and so.
Yeah. Have you heard the saying, adversity bonds people?
Yeah. It's true.
Really true.
It is true. Totally.
Because you get through it together and you feel stronger because of that, you know?
Yeah. So, I don't want to take any more of your time. So what do you think the biggest benefit to your relationship has been, if we haven't already covered it?
That's a great question.
I think the biggest benefit from my point of view has been like communication and that vision piece that we were talking about. There's been a lot of things that I've really enjoyed about living in the RV as it relates to our relationship. One of them, Lindsay touched upon, like seeing each other grow in different ways. It's been really exciting. But I think for me, the biggest benefit is this cohesion that we now have, where I feel like we really are a team, like we're two people working as one, moving forward. And I did not always feel that way in our previous, you know, life. So
yeah, I think our future, we're on the same page about our future, and I don't think we were when we were living in Denver. And this is kind of what he always wanted. He wanted a very flexible lifestyle. He wanted as much travel as possible. And I was really wrapped up in everything I had invested in teaching, and that being my dream, and not understanding that dreams can change and you can pivot at any point in your life. And now we just have a common, like he said, vision for our future. We both are on the same page where we do want this flexible lifestyle, and I'm glad he has challenged me and pushed me to see outside of the box I was putting myself in. I'm also glad that we've been able to be away from the influence of our hometown and our friends and family, and we needed some time just to focus on ourselves and each other and our future and our goals, and the RV has allowed us to do that and step away for a little bit.
Great. Do you want to tell in the camera your social media and what you do for a living?
sure.
Go for it.
So we're Lindsey and Dan McKenzie. We run our travel website, travel blog, RV blog, inspiration blog. It's called Follow Your Detour. You can find us on pretty much every social media channel. Just search Follow Your Detour: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
So
So-